What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Friday Night Live, brought to you by Hybrid Promotions on the Self-Made Sports Network, sponsored by Self-Made the Label Music. As always, I am joined by my co-host, JT. JT, how you doing tonight, brother? I know it's a good day for you.
Yeah, it was a good day, but otherwise just kind of hunkered down. I know we're both kind of hunkered down right now. We got a lot of snow here in central Iowa. I think it's just finally starting to let up a little bit. So, but yeah, just spent the whole day watching some basketball and watching some football.
Yeah, it was definitely a good day to be stuck inside here. As you mentioned, I am in the area. If you can't tell from where you're watching at home, I am currently live on location in Altoona, Iowa, from my parents' basement, back for the holidays. Before we kind of get into what we want to talk about today, I want you to just tell everyone how your Thanksgiving went. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving themselves. Good food, good people. Uh, what was your day like yesterday?
Yeah, no,
A couple
things
days
things
ago,
were
I guess.
things were good. I mean, I don't do anything too crazy. All my family's in the area. Yeah, so just hung out with my mom's side on Thursday, and my dad's side on Friday yesterday. So yeah, pretty low key, but yeah, it was good. Good to get a couple of days off. But yeah, it
Absolutely,
was nice.
absolutely.
How things go for you?
Oh, it was good. You know, mom always throws down when it comes to the holidays. We had way too much food for the little amount of people we had, but I mean, it was good times, good vibes. Not great football, at least from my end of the deal. I know I said I wanted to start with Drake before we got going, but since I said it, why don't we go ahead and start with the your Packers on Thursday morning going into Thursday afternoon. They look good.
Yeah, it seems like they're bouncing back a little bit. They were really firing on all cylinders on Thursday against the Lions. Obviously, they pulled out a really nice conference or division win in Detroit, and it was nice. I mean, obviously, Jordan Love was playing well as he usually was. It was nice to see Josh Jacobs back and healthy. They certainly needed him. But it was nice to see that Matt LaFleur kind of got some of his swagger back, got some of his aggression back. Obviously, the pretty ballsy call at the end to go for it on fourth down to stick the dagger into the game. But Jordan Love kind of made one of his signature off the kind of fade away throws to
Yep.
Dontavian Wicks, and but yeah, it was nice that Matt LaFleur was kind of getting back to it. Um, yeah, things are shaping up to be really interesting in the North because obviously the Bears had a probably even a bigger win yesterday, knocking off the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles.
Sorry,
Um,
Stephon.
yeah, so it seems like the Bears are looking pretty legit, and even considering that Caleb Williams really hasn't been playing that well, he hasn't been throwing too many touchdowns. He hasn't been playing very efficiently, so it's kind of old school Chicago Bear football, not necessarily relying on their passing game and relying on the run game and their defense. So things are shaping up to. I think it's kind of turning into a two horse race in the NFC North. So, and kind of like we talked about before, the way that the schedule shakes out is that the Packers haven't played the Bears at all yet this season, which is kind of crazy considering we're getting into the month of December. So yeah, that's it's going to be interesting. Two very tough games coming up in the month of December with two games against Chicago Bears.
Yeah, the Bears have kind of with that rookie they got, they've kind of turned their backfield into a two-headed monster with Swift, who's kind of the established veteran, and uh excuse me if I pronounce his last name wrong, but I believe it's Montague or Montague.
I'll take your word for it. I haven't watched many other
It's
games,
one of
but
those two. It's pretty close. If someone that's a Bears fan is listening right now, let us know. But I'm pretty sure it's one of those two names. He's actually right behind Genty right now for most rushing yards by a rookie. Granted, that's a kind of a whole situation because Genty's got a horrible offensive line, no receivers, and then Brock Bowers, who brings is your 1-1 personnel. So that's not really necessarily a guy that you can count on kind of to spread the field a little bit. But Montague's kind of come on here in the last couple of weeks, and Ben Johnson has yet again found himself another two-headed monster. And if you really think about what they have looking forward with how young they are, they could be a team to reckon with here in the next 3 or 4 years if they're actually legit. You know, the jury's kind of still out on whether or not they're actually going to be able to do anything worth a shit, you know, once it comes down to playoff time. But as of now, they look like anyone that can go up against any team any given Sunday. And I mean, they're not a guaranteed win anymore. You see the Bears on the schedule; it used to always be a win. It's definitely not that way this year. So it will be interesting to see how that kind of plays out moving forward. Like you said, big game Sunday next week for both teams with their first head-to-head matchup. So
for sure.
We'll kind of wait and see on that. We'll hit on that more next week. Moving on here. Obviously the biggest or the most recent news, I should say, of the day. The Drake Bulldogs took down the Georgia Tech. The Georgia Tech, man, I'm drawing a blank on the name right now. Yellow Jackets. Thank you. They took down the Yellow Jackets 84-74. I believe that was in a Feast Week tournament. Where were they playing at this year?
They were playing in Destin, Florida, in the Emerald Coast Classic. It was just a 4-team MTE with the first matchup was Georgia Tech and DePaul. And then Drake and LSU. So I'll kind of start off real quick with the LSU game yesterday. So, I mean, I hate to kind of get into the moral victory territory, but considering how Drake had been playing, it was really nice to see them put up a good game against, you know, probably a top half SEC team in LSU. I think coming into that game, LSU was a top 30 Ken Palm team. I think they dropped out to like 36 maybe with the close win. Yeah, so basically how that LSU game went, you know, Drake came out and kind of hit LSU in the mouth and led for a little bit. But ultimately, LSU was able to keep Drake at arm's length. It was kind of one of those frustrating games where Drake really never trailed by more than like 12, but was never really able to get it much closer than 8. So it's kind of one of those back and forth games. I think for a little bit, the lead might have extended to like 14 or 16 for a couple possessions. And then very close to the end of the game, Drake was able to get it within 6. But for most of the game, it was kind of between 8 and 12. I mean, I was really impressed to see Drake put up such a fight against LSU. Really, the only reason that they lost the game was that they went 8 for 30 from 3-point, which has kind of been their bugaboo this year, is that they have not been able to hit their shots. And really, considering the fact that you only lost by 9 to LSU, I mean, obviously, if you hit a couple more of those 3-pointers, that math works out to that you could have won the ball game, and it could have been a pretty legit quad 1 win for the Bulldogs. But even still, like I said, it was nice to see Drake start to bounce back. It seems like they're maybe starting to get their mojo back. And then obviously today they were able to put things together, have a complete game against a Power 4, Power 5, whatever it is, team in Georgia Tech out of the ACC. I don't think Georgia Tech's going to be nearly the team that LSU is going to be. I forgot to look up what they are Ken Palm wise, but obviously it's not high enough to be on your graphic. So I'm guessing that Georgia Tech's a kind of a probably one of the worst, maybe like the bottom quarter of the Power 5 basketball conferences. But nonetheless, it was nice to see Eric Henderson kind of get his first big win as the Bulldogs head coach. They shot a lot more efficiently. You know, they only made 8 3-pointers again, but they only shot 18. So they definitely did a much better job with their shot selection. But yeah, I think anytime a mid-major team is able to knock out a power conference team, a team from the ACC, like Georgia Tech, you have to be thrilled with it. So hopefully this is kind of the sign that Drake's starting to turn things around. That they kind of have a few more smaller games within the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks before Valley play kind of kicks off, and that's where things really reset. As we talked about before, with mid-major teams, the non-conference is more like preseason. So, yeah, it's nice to see Drake start to put it together and have two really good games against power conference teams.
So I know you guys basically had to turn over an entire roster this year. I'm kind of looking through the roster right now. Oh, by the way, Georgia Tech is 124th in Ken Palm. I did find them
Yeah,
on the list. They're actually 2 spots ahead of Drake, who's 126. So
yeah, there you go.
if that gives anyone a notion of what it is, but like you said, beating a Power 5 team or a Power 4 team, whatever you want to call it, in basketball wise, it's impressive nonetheless, especially when you're punching above the weight. Getting back to my main point, it's also more impressive that, like I said, you had to replace almost an entire roster this year. Who's kind of stood out to you so far, production wise, and who's going to make the biggest impact? Do you feel like this year?
Well, obviously the guy who stood out the most in the Georgia Tech game was Jalen Quinn. He's the transfer from Loyola Chicago. He put up 31 points today. So it was nice to see him kind of break out a little bit, start to score. He's the starting point guard for Drake. I don't know if he'll continue to be the starting point guard once Owen Larson gets back. Owen Larson is the sole player that followed Henderson from South Dakota State, but he tore his ACL right before the conference tournament last year. He is only a sophomore, so I'm sure he'll get eased back in. Um, so I guess that's one kind of interesting thing, kind of thing to look forward to as a Drake fan. Is it that that you kind of have a legit contender that's going to be a legit contributor that's going to get back from injury. But getting back to your question, Jalen Quinn obviously looked really good today. Kind of he's been the floor general for the Bulldogs. And then Oku Federico, their starting 5-man, who was a transfer from the University of South Carolina.
Yep,
He is probably one of the most like raw talent wise, probably one of the most talented players that any Drake basketball team has ever had. He has an NBA lottery type skill set. If Eric Henderson's able to get Oku Federico right this year, I'm guessing he's going to be one and done with the Bulldogs. Whether that I don't know. And when I say one and done, I don't
well, come
necessarily
on
mean
now. Have
that
a
he'll be.
little more faith that he might
No,
stick
no,
around. You know.
no, but like I don't I'm kind of done with that though. Like it's kind of, I mean, Henderson's talked about that himself. I mean, it's almost kind of part of these mid-major teams kind of have to build it into the recruiting pitch that if that's what these guys want to do, if you come play for Eric
That's a good
Henderson,
point.
because you look at what William Kyle has done. I think because he's at Syracuse now because Iowa State just played Syracuse. William Kyle was a guy that played for Eric Henderson at South Dakota State. Obviously, Oscar Clough was developed by Eric Henderson, who is now
Good
playing at
point.
Purdue. And so and that who knows, that could be part of the reason that Federico's here and kind of made the drop down to the mid-major level. So yeah, he's a freak of nature. He's a stretch 5-man. He's able to shoot the basket, shoot the ball, and is able to work around the rim as well. So yeah, I think that if Federico goes off like his talents allow him to, he could be one and done with the Bulldogs. And like I said, I don't necessarily that mean. I think at some point he could be an NBA lottery pick. I don't think that would happen after this year, but whenever he does end up going pro, he has that kind of talent. So those have really been the two guys that have been the stalwarts for Drake is Jalen Quinn and Oku Federico.
Yeah, those two guys that you just mentioned, Federico today with 28 and an assist, and then Quinn with 31, 5 rebounds, 7 assists himself. Those two guys are clearly what's going to make the offense move. And if Drake's going to have any success this season. Those two guys are going to have to be a main focal point for them moving forward. It looks like they have been already. Peeking at the box score the other night, Federico only had 4 points and a rebound in that game against LSU. Now, that might have been to maybe a size advantage or maybe a mismatch that LSU had against him, or it could have been foul trouble.
Yeah, I think he had some. I think he had some foul trouble both games. They were just a little. Actually, his foul trouble was worth today, which is what was kind of
Really?
impressive. And really, the LSU game, kind of one of the surprising guys was Drake's backup 5-man, Griffin Goodberry, who was the sole recruit. He was one of the incoming freshmen to South Dakota State, who followed Henderson to Drake. He had a really nice game. They kind of took us by surprise. He's a true freshman. You really don't always see true freshmen big men being contributors, especially at the mid-major level. So that's been kind of impressive to see if Goodberry is able to back up to back up Federico. So that's kind of why he didn't play as well against LSU. He had some foul trouble, and then his backup was playing pretty well too.
If you can't see right now, my mom's
Sorry.
peeking in off the camera here. I think my dad's upstairs trying to find some AirPods so they can listen in and we can have a live studio audience tonight.
There you go.
Quick shout out to Beth and Matt Roberts,
Shout
mom and
out.
dad. Go ahead and show your face there, Mom. Yeah,
Hey,
let
Beth.
everyone know. John says, "Hey, Beth."
Hola.
She said, "Hola." What are you looking to go on to next right now? Do you have the Alabama game on TV? I know we were just talking about it before we went on. Before we hit anything else, why don't we go ahead and hit the college football playoff predictions here? I got kind of some bold predictions based off this Alabama game. The Texas win on Friday night was probably a red alert for any Big 12 chance of getting a second team in, just based off vibes. I think at this point, you're going to have BYU upset Texas Tech in the conference championship game next week and hope that Tech does not get dropped out of the top 10 based on that loss. Now, I don't know if that will be a thing, but I could definitely see the committee swapping BYU up to 8 and then dropping Texas Tech all the way out, just based off kind of the information that's been floating around all year and what they've kind of tried to pump the SEC up to be. Steve Sarkisian came out after the game last night and said it would be a disservice to college football to leave a 9-3 Texas team out of the playoffs, which to me is the most asinine statement you could say. Because imagine a Matt Campbell last year, if Iowa State goes 9-3, doesn't make their conference championship game, wins the games they win, and have a really shitty loss in there. And he's out here fighting for a right to get into the playoffs. It'd be like what Shamir Moore would be trying to do for Michigan right now, essentially.
Dad's got breaking news.
Oh, we got breaking news coming in.
Was that right?
What do we got?
Here, read that little nugget.
I got producers off screen giving me some notes here right now.
Is it Lane Kiffin news? Did Lane Kiffin drop?
Or
is it
Just read the very top one.
So K-State and Arkansas State both achieved bowl eligibility today. KU and Colorado are the only teams on the schedule who didn't get the 6, and KU had 5. I don't care what the strength of schedule nonsense, ESPN's little cooked up contraption of a hornswoggle rating says. Good Lord.
Wow.
That was a tough set of games. Who's this about?
It sounds like Cincinnati. It's talking about the Cyclones.
Oh, that's about
Their schedule.
Oh, okay. All right. So for anyone that didn't just get what I said, like I just said, K-State, Arkansas State. Let's go through the list real quick. So K-State, Arkansas State, TCU, Cincinnati, BYU, Iowa, Who am I missing here, JT? Arizona State, and there's one more team. I already said Cincinnati. For those keeping score at home, 10 of the Cyclones' 12 opponents are bowl eligible. And I seen something else that said BYU has beat 7 teams or 6 teams this year that have over 7 wins. And that's still only good enough to get them to number 7. But we're going to reward a team like Florida, or excuse me, a team like Texas for losing a game to a 3-6 Florida team.
Is it 10 or is it 9? Is it 9 teams are bowl eligible, right?
It's all but KU, Colorado.
Oh, so it's even less than.
And they played an FCS team, right?
Yeah, they played South Dakota. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, and they probably made the playoffs.
Yes, yeah, because they just beat Drake and today. It was a bummer.
Oh, really? That's shitty. Yeah. The fact that the Big 12 is not getting, at least even an ounce more respect. We're not asking to get 10 teams put in there for them. We're not even asking for 3. We just think there's 2 teams from the Big 12 that are worthy of being in. And if JT, I got to tell you, with Texas's win last night, I would not be shocked if Alabama ends up losing. That Texas and Alabama will basically switch positions on the board.
Mm-hmm.
I can almost see it coming from a mile away, which makes me think that the only path for the Big 12 to have 2 teams would be if BYU upsets Texas Tech. And I don't even think that if that happens, if Tech's going to be able to survive it, even though they have ripped the heart and soul out of every single team they've played this year to a certain extent.
Yeah, I just have I mean, as much as I would obviously love for it to happen, I would just have a hard time seeing that Texas Tech would be able to survive a loss. I just don't. The cards are so stacked against the Big 12 that I just don't. Unfortunately, I don't think it would happen.
Can you take yours out?
I'm sorry, what did you say? I lost you for a second.
I was just going to say, I don't see Texas Tech being able to survive a loss, no matter what. As much as I would like to see it happen, the cards are stacked against the Big 12 that I just don't see the committee allowing Texas Tech a loss.
I just don't see how you can leave them out if they do happen to lose that game. And I mean, they kicked the absolute shit out of West Virginia today. It was 42-0 before the third quarter was even over. I just don't know how you can keep a team like that out. Even if they do happen to lose the game, I don't think it should matter. What have we not been talking about all year? It's about the resume that's put in front of you that you can put forward. They beat the shit out of Utah. They beat a BYU. They didn't beat BYU, but they've beat anyone that you've put in front of them. And they're, other than the one game they lost, I can't remember who that loss is to
Arizona
right now.
Arizona State.
Yes. Oh man, the Jeff Sims dynasty.
Jeff Sims, domestic terrorist.
Domestic terrorist, Jeff Sims. Oh man. Well, he didn't look very. He looked very domestic last night in that game against Arizona. I just don't know how you can leave them out, but I just got a really weird feeling about the whole thing. I don't necessarily know how it's going to turn out. I hope for the best. Like I said, our best bet tonight is to pray for an Alabama loss, because then it keeps them out of the championship game. It gives Ole Miss a chance to come in. Speaking of that, I think that if Ole Miss happens to get into this championship game for the SEC, I think Lane Kiffin stays. I think you'll get your Lane Kiffin decision close to midnight after this game has been decided. If Alabama wins, he will leave and go to LSU. If they lose and Ole Miss can sneak their way into the back door of the championship game, that he will stay.
Is there any situation where Ole Miss can get in the SEC championship game?
Yes, if Alabama loses.
Oh, so Texas A&M doesn't get in?
A&M, for whatever reason, A&M is out altogether. I don't know how the hell that works, but A&M with their one loss to Texas, I think it comes down to a tiebreaker with Texas losing to everyone else for whatever reason, the fact that they beat A&M, I think it takes A&M out of everything. I know the two scenarios right now is Alabama wins and they're in. If they lose, they're out, and Ole Miss takes that spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of I'm going to use this to kind of to segue into one of our other agenda topics, which is the coaching carousel, and of course I think the Lane Kiffin decision has been made up. I think that he's going to go to LSU. It sounds like, I guess, kind of what the reporting has been at this point is that Lane Kiffin's going to go to LSU. They're just fighting over whether he's going to be allowed to continue to coach Ole Miss. So that kind of that's kind of where things stand there. But yeah, just kind of overall in the coaching carousel, what I wanted to talk about is that we are starting to see some dominoes fall finally in the coaching carousel. Obviously, as the regular season comes to an end, we saw that James Franklin's going to go to Virginia Tech. We saw that Oklahoma State made their decision. They hired Eric Morris
from North
Texas. It sounds like that Alex, for a bit there, it was seeming like that Alex Golesh was going to go to Arkansas, but it kind of seems like maybe because of the news leak that maybe he didn't want that to come out. Obviously, it seems like that Alex Golesh is going to take one of the 3 SEC jobs, probably Arkansas or Auburn, and then obviously well, I guess there's more than 3 SEC jobs open right now. I guess
there could be 4 coming up if Kiffin leaves. Ole Miss could come open, and then Florida's obviously open, and they're in his backyard.
Yeah, and it's starting to sound like that Florida's going to hire John Summerall from Tulane, which
yes,
I was kind of surprised.
That was the domino I seen fall this morning.
Yeah, because it sounds very similar to hiring Billy Napier. Kind of. He's almost, I believe he has less experience than Billy Napier would have had at this point. So they're again going to the state of Louisiana for their head coach. It seems like, so it's starting to seem like that Summerall's off the board going to Florida. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I think that Golesh is going to go to Arkansas. I'm guessing there's just kind of some smoke screens there because he didn't want the news to come out before he told his team. So I'm assuming that's where Alex Golesh ends up. I don't really know if Golesh ends up in Arkansas. I don't really know what's going on with Auburn then. It's almost kind of starting to seem that they're going to go with their interim guy. DJ Durkin, I believe is his name, the interim head coach at Auburn, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. It doesn't really seem like an Auburn thing to do. But I guess we'll just kind of have to continue to let that play out. I don't really have a whole lot on what Ole Miss would do off the top of my head since it's not open yet. One thing that I think is interesting is it's quieted down a little bit, and that's the Penn State job.
That's gotten suspiciously quiet for whatever
it
reason.
has. Yeah, for a while there, it seemed like that they might have settled on that Brian Hartline, which is Ryan Day's offensive coordinator.
Yep.
But you're kind of seeing some rumors that DeBoer could be interested there. A name that I think is interesting, and I think is the
Matt
best
Campbell.
option. Besides Matt Campbell, is Brian Dable. You're starting to see that Brian Dable, who's been fired from New York, could have some interest in that job, and I think he'd be a really good fit there. So I think it'd be interesting to see if they went that route. But yeah, a lot of dominoes starting to fall. I think it'll be obviously interesting to see where Auburn goes, and then obviously I think Lane Kiffin's going to go to LSU, so I'll say that what'll happen with Ole Miss. I know that Joe Judge is on staff at Ole Miss. He might end up being the interim coach if they don't let Lane Kiffin finish things out. So I assume he would end up being a pretty legitimate contender for the full-time job. Obviously, Joe Judge had a very unheralded short stint as the New York Giants head coach.
I was just about to say that. Wasn't he a head coach for the Giants at one point?
Yeah. So weird. I don't know if you had any thoughts on any of the national openings, because I have one other more local coaching carousel thing that we can move on to.
As far as the national stuff goes, like you said, the Penn State's kind of gotten really quiet. I could see the mutual interest between Dable and Penn State if that is the case. And it would make a lot more sense if they are kind of looking at Dable while it's gotten really quiet, because the one thing I've noticed over the years is the more professional guys seem to have a much tighter knit circle that's not going to be leaking news, as much as like a upcoming college coach where, you talk to anybody and it's getting out somehow one way or another. So
It's also a lot easier for things to go under the radar in New York if you're flying someone into New York. Obviously, right now, you see,
absolutely.
like, with the Lane Kiffin stuff, you got people camped out at the Baton Rouge airport. I just saw a tweet a while ago that someone's camped out at the Ole Miss, like, chancellor's house, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, that's Lane Kiffin's Bentley that's parked on the street, and then that's the athletic director's truck," or something like that. It's a lot harder to do
Yeah,
that in New York.
yeah.
There's a lot more noise. There's lots of airports to track and just a lot of people.
I guess the first thing I want to say before we move on or even continue this conversation is get a life, people. Like, let these guys do their thing.
Ooh.
We don't need to be stalking these guys 24/7. Me personally, that would paranoid the shit out of me. I don't know how I'd be able to talk to or trust anybody if I couldn't go see somebody and have a conversation with them about, what I want to do with my future. I know Kiffin tweeted out last night that picture of his dad with the Egg Bowl trophy right in front of it, and kind of trying to humanize himself a little bit, which he should. He really wishes he had his number one guy in his back pocket to be able to talk to about this. I know he's come out and said he's going to talk to Nick Saban and Pete Carroll to kind of help him through the process of figuring out what he wants to do. But, not having your dad there who kind of brought you up through the ranks and taught you everything, not having him, as a back pocket player to be able to talk to, in a situation this big, just kind of his past failures at USC, and, Tennessee didn't go very great that year he was there. And then I can't remember where he dropped down a level. Already coached Florida Atlantic for a couple years before he came to Old
Florida
Miss.
Atlantic. Yep.
Just this is the maybe one of the bigger moments of his entire coaching career, and not being able to kind of rely on the one guy that you had, your whole time growing up. It's got to be really tough for him. Mom's saying goodnight to everybody.
Peacing out.
She's peacing out. She can't hear us, so that's kind of making her upset. But just not being able to have something like that in your back pocket. It's just got to kind of be really tough, really hard to deal with. And then, all the outside noise coming on top of that. I don't know if you see, we talked about it a little bit. The Florida donor kind of forcing his hand, saying that, you can't coach in the Egg Bowl if you're going to come be the head coach of the Gators. Well, okay. Well, I don't want to be the head coach of the Gators then. So, just kind of the little stuff like that. I'm sure it's weighing him down. And I know I seen a lot of stuff yesterday that said that he looked really sad and really dejected, and his demeanor on the sideline was all out of whack. Well, everyone kind of attributes that to him leaving. I would maybe attribute it to just the overall stress, because he still has to go out and win football games. You can't just lay down and decide that you're not going to coach the team that you're coaching right now. Like, you still have to go out and do that, and then turn around and deal with all of the outside noise that comes with it. I got to commend the guy for kind of, still kind of ho-humming along. And I don't know if you've seen it, but he there was some reporter that said you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. In his podcast a couple weeks ago. I can't think of the guy's name right now. It's not important, but Kiffin, after the game yesterday, was walking off the field, recognized the guy. By the way, this guy is 40 years old, and he looks like he's 25 because of his haircut.
I saw that, yeah.
So maybe this dude needs to get another haircut. It's not good, bro, if you're getting dragged across a podcast in the middle of the Midwest right now. So maybe you should try to figure it out. But I guess Kiffin stepped right up to him and said, "Hey, why don't you try calling me a hoe again in the locker room? We'll see how that turns out for you," or whatever. And this dude's totally turned around, backpedaled on his statement. And so I wasn't calling him a hoe. I was calling him a hoe in a situation with a bad metaphor. And I don't know. it's a mess down there. I'm glad we're in the Midwest and not down there in the South, because they get pretty nasty about their coaches down there. I know you said you had one more little tidbit before we move on here.
Yeah, so kind of just getting back to kind of the Iowa State side of the coaching carousel, I had a couple things to share. I mean, obviously that there was some stuff that started to leak out that Matt Campbell might have been in discussion with Arkansas, and it kind of spooked me a little bit because it came from some pretty reliable people. Although I guess I don't think that's the case. Just kind of reading Matt Campbell's demeanor and seeing some of the commitments that they've gotten, and it doesn't seem like there's been a whole lot of
Doesn't
steam
seem like
there.
he's going anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. And one of the reasons why I think he's not going to want to go anywhere, and was the main thing that I wanted to bring up, and we hadn't talked about this, is that there was a tweet that I saw a couple of days ago, and I looked at the user that tweeted it, and it wasn't like some bullshit burner account. It looked to be just some normal guy, and it ended up being deleted. And it was a tweet that said that John Haycock was going to retire as defensive
I
coordinator.
did see that. I did see that
Yeah.
as
And I saw that it ended up getting deleted, and because it wasn't some shitty bullshit burner account, and because it ended up getting deleted, I have a feeling that's probably true. That we maybe only are going to see John Haycock coach Iowa State defensively for one more game. And then it looks like that. I think that, I don't remember if this is an on-air conversation we had. I think we had all just kind of assumed that Eli Rashid was going to step into that role. But I guess I hadn't really realized that it seemed like they're actually grooming Dion Broomfield to be the next defensive coordinator for Iowa State. He has that kind of defensive running game coordinator job as his title. I was actually looking, and for those that know, with public universities, public's salary information is out there in public, and I saw that besides Haycock, Broomfield is the next highest paid defensive coach.
So that would
and
make
he's
sense.
also he's also listed. I thought it was interesting. He's listed as the co-defensive coordinator on that public data, which I don't. It doesn't mean everything, but it doesn't mean nothing. So yeah, I guess I kind of hadn't realized that they were grooming Broomfield for that position, but it kind of makes sense now. But I think that could be one reason that I don't see that Matt Campbell would ever want to make a move without John Haycock, especially like the first year doing it.
Right.
I think that would make him really nervous, and he wouldn't want to go to the SEC or go to the Big Ten not having his
knowing
defensive coordinator. Yep. Yeah, so obviously I'm sure he's, if this is coming to fruition, which I kind of have a sneaking suspicion it is, just kind of reading the tea leaves, I'm sure that Matt Campbell's nervous enough to not have John Haycock as as he's head coach
as
Iowa State.
His guy. It's been his guy for 15, 20 years almost.
Yeah, they've been side by side, and obviously hiring or promoting Dion Broomfield as the defensive coordinator would be very similar to the move that he made with making Taylor Mauser his offensive coordinator, kind of going with the program guy, the loyal guy.
Absolutely.
Maybe someone that's not going to get poached the next day or not going to find another job, and just kind of an under the radar. So I guess that'll be kind of an interesting thing to keep an eye on, is that if Haycock does end up retiring, the tweet that ended up getting deleted, in the part that I'm not quite sure I completely believe, I think it had something about how Haycock was going to stick around in some advisory role for the next couple of years and stay named. I don't know how much I believe that.
I think we saw the same tweet, because I remember seeing everything you're talking about right now.
Yeah, so obviously, I'm sure like informally Haycock would be around. I just don't know if he'll like formally stick around in some advisory position. But that'll be kind of one interesting thing to keep an eye on. I don't know when, if that does become true. I don't know when they would announce that. If they would announce that before the bowl game or after the bowl game. But that'll be one thing to keep an eye on. So that's the one thing that I had on the coaching carousel as it relates to Iowa State.
For what it's worth, he is 65 years old. And I know I looked at his age a couple years ago, and I already kind of started the time clock in my head of all right, how many more years do we realistically have this guy? You know, he's always been a great coach. He's a solid coach, but I mean, you get up to 65. I mean, come on, man. You want to at least enjoy some sort of your life. I mean, he's made
Yeah,
enough
you want to
money in
enjoy your
his
life.
life where he can retire and not have to worry about a single thing for for the rest of his life. He can go out and do whatever he wants. And like you said, it's not like if he retires, Campbell's going to kick him off the campus forever. He can come back whenever the hell he wants to, and there's a good chance he could end up being like a like you said, like a someone they can refer to, or kind of someone to keep in the pocket. And he might not necessarily be on payroll staff, but don't be surprised if Campbell would throw him like couple $1,000 here and there to come out. And if they need like an analyst or something to come in, or an outside analyst, he could take a completely different position that has nothing to do with the university and still find a way to contribute, which Haycock really kind of seems like one of those upstanding guys I wouldn't be surprised if you catch him in that role, or even if he's not in a role like that, he's just there on the sideline every week.
Yeah, because I mean, from all that we've heard, it seems like that Haycock and his family likes Ames. He has a son. His son Jace is an analyst on the staff. I think it was always a question that if Matt Campbell ever made a jump, even a couple of years ago, it was always a question if John Haycock would ever want to make another jump. And I think the sentiment was always that he probably wouldn't, which could have led to Matt Campbell
Hey,
not wanting to make that move.
we might owe John Haycock our lives.
Yeah.
At
Well, at
this
least
point.
we know that we owe Brock Purdy our lives for and his dad for talking him out of the USC job. So
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
yeah, who else?
Absolutely.
Who knows? Who knows what other jobs Matt Campbell turned down because he didn't know if his
Yeah,
defensive coordinator was going to come with him.
yeah, who knows? JT, but before we move on here to another 20-13 score today, Auburn is they're currently at a first and goal situation. I'll use that 20-13 segue to pull up this for the most boring game that I think I've watched all year. I fell asleep halfway through the game today. This game was tough to watch, and not only was it tough to watch, I don't think the announcers were watching the same game that we were watching.
Yeah, that was probably one of the worst productions that I've ever seen. Obviously, the big Valor moment was at one point the announcer referred to the Cyclones as the Hawkeyes. There were plenty of. I was just reading Cyclone Fanatic. I believe at one point, the Cyclones' second string running back was referred to as Abba Samu or something like that.
They called him Samu, or
Samu.
Abba
Abba
Samu or something like that. He clashed his first name, his second name together. Our new offensive coordinator is Tyler Mauser. I don't know if you picked up on that. And at one point today, Will McLaughlin might have been on the game.
Yeah.
For those who don't know,
the one thing
Will McLaughlin medically retired
yes.
Last week.
I do give announcers some slack when it comes to the double numbers. I realize that can be confusing. Like I know after Cale Berzina forced that fumble, they put the camera on Brett Eskelson because he's the same number. But I mean, it's still not I'll cut you some slack in a vacuum, but obviously considering what else has happened, yes, calling whoever number 23 is on the other side of the ball, Will McLaughlin, it just wasn't a good look. It was
lazy. It was a lazy broadcast. It felt sleepy. It matched the complete energy of the stadium. I don't know if you've seen the pregame shots they had right before kickoff. There was maybe 10,000 people there today.
Yeah,
maybe.
Just the definition of a nothing burger game, kind of doing the Cyclones kind of did the bare minimum to win the game. And honestly, I don't really care. I guess that's.
I mean, they won the game, so that's all that matters.
It doesn't really matter. So
no, it really doesn't. I mean, 8-4 is great. That gives you a chance to get to 9 wins. If they would have lost now, it would have been all hell breaking loose. It was one of those games.
I don't even know if I can go that far.
It don't really matter. To me, it didn't really matter how you won. Obviously, they won. They ended up handling business. But I mean, if they would have lost a game like this today, Oklahoma State hasn't won a conference game since like November of 2023. You don't want to be that team, especially. All right, JT, you don't want to be that team to be the only win for the two worst teams in the conference this year. They were Colorado's only win at home back in week 6 or 7, whatever that was. They lost 24-17. That was Colorado's only win in the Big 12 this year. God forbid you go down to a program down in Stillwater down there and you happen to give them their only Big 12 win this year. I think that would have ruffled a lot more feathers than just about anything this season. You know, they've won 3 games in a row now. They've kind of put all of the can they, won't they, talk behind them. This loss would have opened up a whole nother can of worms. The fan base would have started turning on the team again, like the young Cyclone fans seem to do whenever there's a hard moment that they don't understand has existed for 134 years. It's not a significant win, but it was an important win nonetheless in my eyes.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. It's just, I just don't. I feel pretty unmoved from watching the game. So I am kind
very unmoved. Don't get me wrong.
I am kind of excited to see who they pull in a bowl game. I saw it kind of seemed like they're going to go to Phoenix.
Yes.
Where
I think Pollard's chilling for Phoenix right now.
Yeah, it almost seems like they're pretty locked into Phoenix, which would put them up against a Big Ten team. I saw some people throw out there. I think this is possible. Like they could get matched up with Iowa. That'd be really interesting.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You don't think they do that?
I saw right before we came on air, I looked at a updated projections bracket, and they have Iowa State against Penn State at the moment in the guaranteed rate bowl. Me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing a matchup with Nebraska. I think
that's what I think that's what I had saw.
I think that would be fun for everyone involved. The teams haven't played each other for 13 years now, 12 years, whatever it is, since Nebraska left the Big 12. Both programs don't really have much to gain, but I mean, nonetheless, it would bring back, kind of some old fun, back and forth that, hasn't existed between Nebraska fans. For those that know, I live in Nebraska, so the Huskers are like my adopted team. I would love nothing more since I moved out here, because I've never lived in Nebraska when they were in the Big 12. I would love nothing more than to see Iowa State take down the Huskers in a bowl game and kind of have that chip on my shoulder moving forward. So that would be my pick.
This is kind of interesting. I was just pulling up ESPN's bowl predictions by Kyle Bonagura and Mark Schleybaugh. It's a little bit dated. It's from November 23rd, and it's actually some interesting predictions because it's listen to this one. Bonagura has Iowa State versus Texas in the Kinder's Texas Bowl.
Oh, what?
Which I guess that probably wouldn't work now. Well, I guess I don't know. I guess
I don't know.
Texas's win. They won. Yeah, they won. So I guess I didn't realize that. That's kind of strange.
Interesting.
And then Schleybaugh has. Oh God. Guess what bowl and which opponent Mark Schleybaugh has Iowa State.
Oh, it's gonna be something stupid, isn't it?
Yep, it's happened twice before.
Yeah, I already knew that's where I was gonna go. It's gonna be the Liberty Bowl against Memphis at Memphis.
Oh God, I hope they don't do that. That would be so stupid.
Iowa State might dissolve their football program if that becomes the only option they have. And I would be all for it if that's the only option on the listen, man. We had a good run. We should probably let this go.
Let's see. Oh God, CBS Sports is saying the same thing.
Yeah, I just
That can't happen, man. These
with
people,
with
I hope these people aren't informed.
Jamie Pollard tweeting out at the Rate Bowl saying that he was there, he had a good time. To me, that seems like a back pocket deal. If we can get to a certain record, we would love to come play in this bowl game. And the really crazy thing is Iowa State's played in Orlando and Memphis like 6 of the last 7 or 8 years or something like that. And Cyclone fans are tired of going to those two places. And I think Pollard knows they're tired of going to those two places. He's trying to find somewhere else for him to go, give other fans a chance to experience the team. I know they got a really big Cyclone club down there in Arizona, and it's an easier place to travel if it's a place you haven't been to, 5 times in the last couple of years. I think the Rate Bowl is a lock for him. The opponent, as far as that goes, I don't know what kind of a lock that is. Big 12, obviously, or Big 10, excuse me, has a bunch of moving pieces to kind of put together and kind of see where the dominoes fall with them. But I think the Cyclones are pretty much a lock for the Rate Bowl, especially with the win today. I think it kind of gives them a chance to tell somebody no, knowing they can fall down the pecking order and somewhere they want to be will tell them yes.
Yeah, hopefully. It'd be nice to do something different. And it's not really a knock on Memphis. It's just that they've done it so many times.
No, absolutely
I
not.
went to Memphis for one of them, I guess, because I guess Iowa State has been kind of in the recent history. Iowa State's been to the Liberty Bowl 3 times, played Memphis twice. That second one, the first one against Memphis, I went to. It would have been the Kyle Kemp down.
They won that one, right?
David Montgomery. Yeah, they just squeaked by and won that. It was a really good time. It was really cold, but it was a good time. New Year's Eve on Beale Street was fun. But yeah, I just think that fans are worn out with that. And I guess I feel bad for Memphis too. Like that has to suck. Like kind of playing a bowl game in your home stadium, like not getting the full bowl experience.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I would hate that.
Emotions on that.
I would hate
you
that.
You wouldn't like to go see another game at Jack's Rice. Well, actually, I take that back because it'd be probably fucking 22 degrees at that game. I would definitely not want to do that. So I can kind of see where that comes into play.
I'll say that. I mean, maybe like doing it once, like it'd be kind of but like year after year, having to host a bowl game. And then obviously, I mean, I just think for the players it sucks because then you don't get to travel and
right. Yep. You stay in your dorm. You probably stay in your dorm room the night before the game. You treat it like a regular home game.
Yeah, and that was the one thing. It was, I mean, it was nice because it was kind of there was a lot of people from both fan bases, but you could definitely feel like the Memphis fans were kind of standoffish, that we were kind of invading their turf. And they kind of weren't all that friendly to be around. But when you compare it to like the bowl experiences that Iowa State fans have had other places, like I know I didn't go, but I know when they played at the Alamo Bowl against Washington State, I know that they had a really good time. So I just think those neutral site environments are so much better for kind of the spirit of the game. It's kind of the same reason why I've never actually liked the idea of Iowa or Iowa State playing NCAA tournament games in Des Moines. It's just that, but part of the fun of it is seeing all these different fan bases.
Yep.
Is seeing all the different fan bases come through Des Moines and kind of it would just kill the tourism of it all if Iowa State or Iowa played in Des Moines. So yeah, I know it's probably not a popular thing to say, but I just think that the spirit of it is to maintain that neutral site.
Well, when you see it year in, year out, especially with one of the positions that you hold, you can see if Iowa State's there in Des Moines for tournament games, 75% of the people that come through are Iowa State fans. And granted, you might sell more tickets, but how many of those tickets are, left unavailable because not all these fans are snatching up the high dollar tickets, they're snatching up the cheap ones, and then all the hotels, and then they have kind of the advantage of it because they can, if Iowa State reaches a certain point or Iowa reaches a certain point, you kind of know they're going to go to Des Moines. So you can start planning ahead as an Iowa State fan or an Iowa fan. Like, all right, let's go ahead and book this hotel just in case. Let's go ahead and get these tickets for this session or whatever. We know that they're going to play here. And it kind of minimizes the opportunity for other teams in the in kind of the little bubble that you got to have an opportunity to sweep up some seats and kind of expand the, like you said, the tourism aspect of it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like not even like because like if Iowa or Iowa State were to play in Des Moines, like 75% of the fans wouldn't need a hotel.
No,
And that's where it kills the tourism. They're just going to go to the game and go home. They're not gonna stay at the Marriott downtown, and they're not going to go to Court Avenue and have a drink. They're not going to go to Buzzard Billy's after the game. And so that's why. And yeah, like you said, working in the ticket office at the arena, it's just kind of one of those low key fun things. When the NCAA tournament comes through, is just kind of seeing the kind of diversity of the fan bases and kind of seeing who's from where. And some of that would be kind of ruined if it was just one fan base, local fan base, kind of overwhelming it. Because, yeah, Des Moines has really lucked out with all of its tournament polls the past couple of times, and it's been really fun. The year that we had Kentucky versus Indiana, one of the most electric atmospheres I'd ever experienced.
Oh, I'll bet. Two great fan
I went to
bases, two good teams.
Yeah, and then I guess last year, 2 years ago, whatever it was, I saw Kansas play Arkansas when Arkansas upset Kansas. That was crazy.
That was the year
environment,
Arkansas went to the Elite Eight or the Final Four, didn't they?
Yeah. So that was fun. So, but yeah, that's just kind of the fun of the whole event is just the beauty of the neutral site's location.
Yeah, we'll use that here, and we're gonna move into the I got the Ken Palm rankings here. This is from about 5:30 tonight. I noticed one glaring thing staring me in the face here right now. I don't know if you can see it. I'm sure you already looked at this, but what's kind of the one thing that really sticks out to you on this list here?
I mean, the first thing that I see is that how huge of a lead Michigan has. Number one, they have a 3-point rating lead. They're kind of far and away above the rest of the pack.
Okay, first of all, before we get anything else, how the hell do they become so good overnight?
Yeah, I don't know. Dusty May has really figured it out. They absolutely embarrassed some really good teams.
They killed everyone in the Players Era tournament. I know you wanted to talk about that. We'll get into that here in a minute, but man, they dog walked everybody.
Yeah, including your number 5 team there, Gonzaga. It was absolutely incredible. But I guess were you seeing something different on that list?
Yeah, I'm looking at number 4 there.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. I guess I tried too hard, but yeah, Iowa State at number 4.
Yeah, no, you actually pointed out something I didn't even recognize. I had my blinders on once I seen that. I've been kind of following this all tournament long over the Players Era, and they've jumped from, I think they started the tournament at 13th, something like that. They jumped to 9 after the first night. I think they snuck up to 8 before their next game. They went up to 6, and then they just absolutely dismantled Syracuse. And they've somehow found themselves in the 4th position. I don't know if you've seen the Cyclone Larry tweet, but there are currently 5 teams in the nation that fit the national championship profile at this point in the season. His metrics were 7-0 after Thanksgiving, or undefeated after Thanksgiving. Top 31 in offense, I believe, and top 21 in defense. So those teams, as of right now, would be Michigan, Duke, Iowa State, I think Louisville barely sneaks into that conversation, and then there's a fifth team I can't think of right now, but those are
Did he say top 25 in offense?
top. It's either top 31 or top 21.
It sounds kind of gerrymandered, and I don't know if he did that to leave Iowa out, because I see that Iowa has the 26th ranked.
No, this
ranked
is going over the last 19 of 20 champions. This is the same metric that I was trying to use last year to claim that Iowa State was moving to glory.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Cyclones are once again in that mix, and then I don't know how they've jumped up to 4. I don't know if you've seen the Naismith watch. Mr. Joshua Jefferson has moved up to number 2, a clear number 2 in the list behind Mr. Cameron Boozer from Duke. Lipsy was 9 at one point this year, but with the injury, I just don't think we're ever going to be able to see a full season of a healthy Lipsy. He just has too much heart. He plays too hard. He's always exerting himself. You know, like we talked about going out to Sioux Falls there. You know, we were so excited to see him not walk up the court looking like an old man or looking like a spring chicken every time. And, you know, what do you know what happens 3 games after that? He strains a groin, and now his status is kind of once again in question. They have the right thing, and Alabama might have just scored a touchdown, and they're going to call him in.
Yeah, and it sounds like that Lipsy's kind of targeting that Purdue game.
Yep.
To come back. So hopefully that's the case. Obviously, it'd be nice to see him against Iowa, but yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I mean, it was nice to see that Iowa State has proved they can kind of take care of business at some level without him. But obviously, I'm sure that won't always be the case. So
how about?
But yeah, it's great.
How about Torrey? Just
yeah.
How many years do you think you were going to get him for?
I think we'd be lucky to have him for 2.
Man, that's kind of where I'm, and he's kind of taking the nation by storm to where everyone else is starting to talk about him now, and that's kind of scaring me even more because we're only 7 games in, and the fact that he's getting this much traction this early, kind of, I mean, they're already talking. They're already calling him a Big 12 body, and he's 18, 19 years old. You give him another year, he could be NBA ready.
Yeah, I think if he was a little bit taller, you could be seeing him as a legit one and done. But yeah, I'm kind of at this point. I think it's kind of 2 and done. He's looking like a young Dwayne Wade out there right now. So
yeah, he's
really impressive.
Long arms, good defense. Like you and I both know, he was partially the reason why Lipsy was able to kind of take a back seat, which you and I both noticed early.
Yeah.
With how many minutes he was playing and how fresh he was looking. Well, once we kind of figured out what they were doing, which we kind of knew they were doing, but once it kind of came to light, it makes a lot more sense. And yeah, I just don't see him. I just don't see him taking a step back anytime soon. If anything, I see him really ramping up the chemistry they have together. He already seems to have a really good chemistry with Jefferson and Momcilovic. Momcilovic, by the way, seen something the other day that said he's trying to rewrite the 50-40-90 club to the 50-50-90 club. He's shooting 49% from 3 right now. He's just been absolutely on fire.
Yeah. Just need him to keep it up, because that's what we need, man. We need to be not knocking it down with some consistency.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like they piss pounded Syracuse to make a point in that Wednesday game. It was really late there, and Momcilovic almost pulled up for a 3 with like 5 seconds to go. I know he ended up pulling it down, didn't shoot, but I feel like they kind of made a point to the committee that hey, this is kind of messed up that we don't get to play for something. Granted, 5 teams went 2-0. I don't know if that contingency at the players era really had a game plan for 5 teams going 2-0. The point differential thing kind of reminds me of the NBA Cup. I think they kind of targeted that. I know they expanded a lot quicker than they wanted to this year. The couple extra teams they added might have totally screwed up the format they had. You know, as far as what they could be looking at for maybe a 5th or a 6th place team. It looks like JT is frozen right now. Oh no, there he is. He's
No,
moving.
I'm here.
All right, you didn't move for about 30 seconds.
No, yeah, I was just looking. I was reading a tweet. There's a plane slid off the runway at the Des Moines airport. So I was looking at the.
No shit, huh?
Yeah.
Breaking news.
I have
Breaking
to
news
I have to
on
fly,
the Friday Night
fly in a
Live
couple of
series.
days. So I was making sure it wasn't the plane that I'd be on. So, and it's not the same type of plane I'd be flying. So.
Well, breaking news here on the Friday Night Live series: a plane has slid off the runway. Excuse me, slid off the runway here in Des Moines. So
yeah,
I
doesn't look
can't
like it's too far out. I'm just looking at the scanner. It doesn't, or looking at the radar. It doesn't look like it's too far off the runway, but
I can't believe they're even letting planes take off right now here. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I mean,
it's atrocious out there.
It is, yeah.
Well, we're kind of all over the board tonight, so I guess I'll pull this up real quick. I got a couple more things I want to hear, then we can get out of here. Did we already talk about this already? I think we did.
I don't think we talked about it on the air, but I didn't really have a whole lot to add to it, so it just kind of was what it was.
Yeah, my Nebraska pundits were unfortunately unable to join us tonight. I was not home for most of this game on Thursday. I watched most of it from my phone. Nebraska just EJ Johnston did have over 200 yards rushing with 173 yards coming in the first half or something like that. Just not enough for Mark Gronowski throwing, I believe, a touchdown pass and running for 2. Sets Iowa and Iowa State up with the same 8-4 record. So how do you like me now, bitch? We end up in the same boat. We end up in the same boat at the end of the year, even though we got there different ways.
That's right.
I just really feel for my people out in Nebraska for this game. I know they were really hyped up. I did have an opportunity to go to this game. I was offered tickets Tuesday night if I wanted to tag along. I was in Des Moines at that time, so I had to decline. Regardless, it looks like it rained and it was cold and shitty. Pretty much 85% of the game. I sat through that about 2 weeks ago at Arizona State and was miserable. The last thing I wanted to do was have to go root against Iowa and then watch Iowa do the same thing to a team that I love Nebraska. I love the people of Nebraska. I love the state of Nebraska. I like Nebraska football, but I don't think you could pay me to sit in that stadium and watch them play Iowa anytime soon until they can prove that they can even hang with them at home. I'm sure I'm going to get flamed for this, but I mean, that's just the truth. I just can't do it. I mean, y'all got to be more competitive in this game. It's 10-1 in the series, and Iowa's won 7 straight at home. Like, you just gotta figure it out. You gotta figure it out. Otherwise, it's not really a rivalry at this point when it's a 10-1 outlook. Now, that's not to say it could change in the next 5 or 6 years, but as of right now, this series is as competitive as Iowa, Minnesota. And
I
that's
don't have much
that's
more to add on that.
I was gonna say that's pretty much all I got on that.
Yeah, it just kind of
Um,
was what it was. So
Yep, it is what it is. 40-16 don't really leave a lot of leeway for talking points at this point.
no, definitely not.
All right, moving on here again real quick. Let's go ahead and talk about your number one seed in the NFC right now. As you can see, I got my Rams Christmas sweater on. We are in full Christmas mode here in the Roberts household. And we are in full-time playoff mode. You heard it last week from my dad. The Rams are the odds-on favorite right now to win the Super Bowl. I'm the type of person. I'm gonna have to wait. I'm gonna withhold my emotions before I get too high and mighty. You and I both have been fans of teams forever that have had many a chances to do some good things and nothing ever comes of it. So, I'll raise my banner when the banner's ready to be waved. But just another dominating win from the Rams. Stafford looks like the clear MVP at this point.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty. I kind of hadn't realized that he was the favorite for the MVP until your dad brought it up. That's kind of crazy that Matt Stafford is probably going to win the freaking NFL MVP. But yeah, it looks like it's well deserved.
He's I think as of this game against the Bucs last week, he in his last 8 games he's thrown 25 touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
Wow.
And I think on the season he's up to 30 touchdowns and maybe 2 picks. And my dad did happen. He was lucky enough to see one of them down in Tennessee this year. So yeah, the Roberts family curse lives on. Luckily, they were able to win that game, so the curse wasn't quite all the way through. But, yeah, the Rams look good. Big game tomorrow. Funny I say that. No, I don't have my notes. I can't remember who they play.
The Rams.
Yes,
Um,
I had it in here and I lost it. The Panthers. Big game against the Panthers tomorrow at Carolina. So a good chance to go 10-2. I believe if they win that game, since they play at noon, they could be the first team in the NFL to win 10 games this year. So, that would be kind of cool.
you definitely don't want to sleep on the Panthers. I learned that the hard way.
Yes. The Panthers they're one of those teams that is borderline annoying. They're kind of.
I don't quite understand how, but they're 6-6 right now, which is not what they normally are. So
They have the same record as the fucking Chiefs.
that's nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Welcome to the NFL. That's just the state of where we are right now. What the crazy thing is watching the Chiefs fans turn on Andy Reid real time after winning them 3 Super Bowls. They're over here looking at Ben Johnson. I seen a tweet tonight right before we came on air that Ben Johnson obviously took his shirt off after they beat the Eagles last night in the locker room and went nuts with the team. And some Chiefs fan commented on it and said, "Here I am with a coach with no aura, who's senile, fat as shit, and never smiles on the sideline." It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, why don't you just chill out? I mean, there is not a fan base that deserves to be miserable any more than the Chiefs at this point. For as bad as you were for so long, to now suddenly have no gracefulness for how well you've had it for the last 8-9 years, the last 10-12 years. Honestly, he's going back to the Alex Smith days. To me, it's kind of disrespectful for teams that have really fought hard to get back to being winning teams or teams that have turned it around. Or me as a Rams fan, when I was in middle school or high school, they won 6 games in 3 years at one point. I don't take a single win for granted. Every win should be counted as grateful. And yeah, you can be critical of the team and of the coach, but I mean, to start calling them fat slobs and acting like, you deserve better than what you had. Okay, go find someone better. Please do. Go. You know what? You should trade Mahomes. You should fire Andy Reid, and you should start over from the beginning, Chiefs. If that's what you think you need to do, Chiefs fans, I'm imploring you, please do that. I think that'd be great. That's all I got to say on that. I got no more on my Chiefs rant.
Sounds good. Do we want to wrap it up?
I got one more thing I do want to cover before we go tonight. I was going to save this for our title sponsor, man here, but since he's not here tonight, December 11th at the Reverb Lounge, Self-Made and Hybrid will be hosting and a part of the Midwest Nice Enough holiday collaboration fundraiser. Every individual group that's a part of this will be raising money for a different cause amongst themselves. Self-Made ourselves, we will be doing Live in Hope. I don't have a lot of information on that, unfortunately. I believe that's the same charity that we were a part of earlier this year for our first charity event. It's going to be a lot of great artists. It's going to be a really, really good time. I would encourage anyone to wear your ugliest sweater, your most festive outfit, throw a Santa hat on, bring a sack of nothing. I would, if you can find a red sack that you can throw behind your shoulder and throw a bunch of nothing in there. I mean, we got a white Christmas now, so it's not going to get above 40 degrees to melt all that snow that we got. So it's definitely going to be white outside. I would encourage everyone to kind of really get into the spirit here, and it's just show out, and we're here to make a difference in the community. That's the whole point of this show. I just hope to see everyone there and hope everyone has a good time, and we can kind of go out and make a difference in the community, and hopefully bring some kids a good Christmas that might not have a chance otherwise if we can't bring the community together. So I hope to see everyone out there. Once again, December 11th at the Reverb Lounge. Doors at 7, the show's at 8. It is an all ages event, so it's not a 21 over or an 18 over event. It's available for everybody. So bring your kids, bring your nephews, bring your nieces, bring your grandchildren if you were thinking about coming out yourself. We just love to see everybody there to come out and support, and try and give everyone else that maybe less fortunate a better Christmas, like we all need.
Love it.
Other than that, I don't really got much else for you. Do you want to? I'll give you the opportunity to land the plane this week. I know we're way over our time limit, but we kind of got on some tangents tonight, but that's okay. It's the holiday special.
Yep. So thanks for listening to everybody. This has been the Self-Made the Label Sports Podcast and Friday Night Live, and we will see you guys next Friday.
Yes, sir.